Right. All right. Well, what brings us here is somebody passed the age of a P recently, and that is Mariam. So, where's let's see, I got the reaction things and all that. Where's my there we go. We got that. We got yeah, look at all that. Look at that. That's
Thank
wonderful.
you.
Yes. All right. Welcome to the other side. I'm
Oh
sure
yeah.
that yeah, the big exhale. I'm so
I
happy
was,
for you.
thank you. I was talking to my supervisor at work, and I'm like, it feels really weird to not have like a next step.
Hmm.
She's like, to see you. So I'm like, "Yeah, that I can manage. That's fine."
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's still that it's still that hangover. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you still got that like, wait a minute, why aren't I studying? Oh, because I passed.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Like that weird
yeah,
feeling like I'm forgetting something.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Um,
All right. So, for those who don't know your story, what brings you here? And as far as just what was it about this time that pushed you over the threshold and
yeah.
successfully? And just let us know. Just let us know what you want to
Okay.
share.
Um, I have a bad tendency of making stories really, really long. So I'll try to keep it brief. So, I started studying about a year ago,
Mhm.
and then I got sick. I started having these like chronic migraine. I didn't know what was going on actually. I was just in pain, and I stopped studying because I was just like I couldn't look at the computer, couldn't do anything. Found out I had a migraine disorder and suffering with migraines literally every single day, including today. They've gotten
Jeez.
much better.
Mhm.
But I stopped studying, I put that on hold, and I stopped working for a while because I was like, I need to figure out like my health, what's going on.
Mhm.
And then I got an email that's like, your approval is expiring in a month. I'm like, oh, right, that's a thing.
Yeesh.
And I emailed the board in Maryland and explained to them the situation, and they gave me an extension until August,
Mhm.
mid-August.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, well, I might as well try,
Mhm.
like I don't try, I'm gonna have to go through the whole process again anyways. I'm also
Mhm.
try taking it. By this point, it was like April, April or May. So I'm like, okay, I have a solid like 3 months.
Mhm.
I could try, I can wait, I'll try. So I was using Psych Prep, which helped, I think, a lot. And then I just started joining like different Facebook groups, like the We Will Pass group, and then I saw Beastslayers through there.
Mhm.
And I just saw a lot of people saying like Chris was really helpful and Latoya and other people, and seeing the practice questions being posted. And I'm like, okay, this looks interesting. And I just joined the
Mhm.
session one day
Yeah,
and it was
that's
very
awesome.
helpful.
Nice.
And that's kind of, I honestly didn't know how I was going to go. I was like, I was prepared to not do well.
Mhm.
But I did okay.
Nice.
So yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome. What was it about Beastslayers that's that helped you specifically?
I think, okay, so first of all, I would never study at like 9 p.m.
Mm.
So it forced me to use
Eastern time
that time.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So like it was like 9 p.m., 10 p.m., like these
Yeah.
really late calls. And sometimes we'd
Mm.
be on calls to like 11:30.
Hmm.
And I'm like, there's no way I would be doing that on my own. So there's accountability there for
Mm.
sure. It's like, okay, I've committed to the session, I need to go.
That's a good point.
So that's that. I'm big on that. Like I'm
Hmm.
very lazy. So unless I have some fear or shame or something to motivate me, I'm not gonna do it. And then also like I really just like the vibe, it was like it's fun. A lot of just joking around and making the material fun. It didn't feel draining and heavy like when I'm like studying during the day, and it felt like that. Honestly almost felt like a nice end to the day in some ways. Like you just hang out with friends
Yep. Yeah.
and studying
Hmm.
together, and you can kind of, oh, I didn't get this concept. Like, what am I missing here? Right? Where reading a book or something, it's going to take you forever to get that. But if you talk to somebody and kind of get their perspective and how to understand it, that helped me a lot. Actually, now I think about it, is when I would struggle with certain concepts, hearing how other people would understand it, and then I'm like, okay, that made a lot more sense to me. I can kind of like adapt that
Yeah.
perspective on it.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. So take us to exam eve. All right.
Okay.
So take us to exam eve. and then we'll
So
get to
exam
exam day.
eve. So it was a little crazy. I didn't tell you this part, Chris. It was a little bit crazy. I couldn't get any um like an appointment at my local Pearson center.
Hmm.
So I had to go to Erie, which is 2 hours away.
Oh.
So I actually stayed at a hotel that night, which was actually kind of great because my
Hmm.
kids weren't bothering me.
Hmm.
This actually maybe I would have done this regardless.
Hmm.
So I stayed at a hotel the night before. I felt like that definitely helped me to just not have to deal with other things.
Hmm.
Met with Chris the night before, who graciously allowed me to review with him and just go through some last minute things,
Hmm.
which, by the way, a couple of those things ended up being on the exam,
Hmm.
the consultant models.
Hmm.
And then exam day, I decided to take the exam very early in the morning, even though I'm not a morning person, but I know like health wise, I feel the best in the morning. So that's one piece of advice is like, and it sounds kind of woo-woo, but like listen to your body. Like if you know that you're more, I don't know, like you perform better at a certain time of day, then do that.
Hmm.
Because I had a 12 o'clock and I'm like, oh my God, I could sleep in that'd be so great. But then I know by like 3 o'clock, my head hurts. And I'm like, I can't do that. I need to be done before then if I want to be able to get through the exam and not be in pain.
Hmm.
So I took the early morning appointment. I mean, little things I did, like I ate a good dinner. I did not go to bed early because we met.
Hmm.
Um, Try to eat a good breakfast, try to really hydrate the morning of. I had heard so many horror stories about testing centers being really like hard to deal with, but the women at the center, they were like these three older women and they were so nice.
Nice.
And I
Awesome.
really feel like I walked in and like be nice, like be kind to them.
Hmm.
And I had a hat on because like the lights bother me and I was taking it off and I was kind of talking to them like this. And they're like,
Hmm.
do you need your hat? I'm like, yeah, but I don't have like a combination for it. It's like, don't worry, honey. We're going to mark it down as a medical necessity. Keep your hat on. Not, I was
Oh,
like, oh my God, that's so nice. So they
yeah.
allowed me, they like scanned it and everything, but allowed me to keep my hat on. So like
Yeah.
I did have accommodations. Thank you. I am extended time, which
Hmm.
I used every single second of that extended time. Like I was
Good.
down to, like 3 minutes left by the time I was done.
Hmm.
So if you are able to get that, do it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, I would recommend that.
Yeah, for sure. Did you ever, so this is the common take, the common sentiment when it comes to taking the exam actually. It's like even those who, and I can attest to this, even those who passed, it didn't not 1 second of taking it did you feel like, oh, I got this. Like I'm about to
No,
submit
I
it and
thought
I
I
felt like I passed.
halfway through I was like, I might also like leave.
Oh
Like I
wow.
don't know. Like I honestly felt like I was guessing in every single question. Almost nothing I studied was on the exam. I'm not saying that to like freak anybody out.
Hmm.
I think what really helped the most were having good test taking strategies, like being able to knock out answers that you know don't make sense, being able to like look at the wording of the answer choices and pick out those little words that would be like, like when they're too extreme or things like that. Because so many questions I just did not know. And I mean, I guessed well enough to pass. So
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
must have used some kind of strategies, okay, is my
Hmm.
kind of my thinking. But no, the whole time I felt like I
Yeah.
might as well get ready to sign up for the exam again.
Mm.
The whole time I did not feel good. Even when I walked out of the room and I saw two pieces of paper sitting there and I thought,
Mm.
that's it. Like I didn't pass. And she was like, oh, sweetie, I don't know why this extra sheet of paper came out with your results. I'm like, what? And I passed. But no, the whole time I did not feel good. So definitely like if you're not feeling good about it, just keep going and giving it your best anyways,
Yeah.
because you're not going to feel good about it
Yeah.
throughout the whole time.
I want to heavily emphasize the practice effect, and I'll be talking about this on the workshop in a few weeks, a couple weeks, 2.5 weeks or so from this recording. Um, just when it comes to test taking, the practice effect, and the psychology behind it. Um, we did a lot of practice questions like
Mm.
the day of, and I did that the day before. I did it on purpose just to, and we were when we were talking, I was like, yeah, I love your confidence. I love your confidence is building, 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 and that's one of the things I saw in you as you started to progress within the groups. You were like, you kind of was like kind of like a silent contributor, and you started stepping up row after row after row, and then you were like in front row, like I got this.
Yeah.
And I love that about what I saw in you, and I saw that even when we were doing our individual session the night before, like I kept telling you, like, I see that your confidence is continuing to increase. And even like there was a lot of concepts that I presented to you that you didn't know about. You're like, what the
Mhm.
heck is this? But you talked through them though.
Yeah.
And you were able to get the questions right because you talked through them. And I was like, yeah, good test taking strategies. I kept saying that
Mhm.
to you.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you said that because there's so many different I mean, there's about a handful, some say four, some say six, different versions of the test. And it may be a test that you're like, oh yeah, I know that, I know that, I know that, I know that. Boom, boom, boom. I've been studying that. And there might be a version that you're like, what the heck is this? I
Mhm.
don't know what none of this is. And it's still doing those practice questions, having that practice effect, building that confidence, and that's something that I heavily emphasize. And I saw that in you. I saw your confidence continuing to
Yeah.
build. Yeah.
Yeah. I think towards like definitely in the beginning when I started studying, it was a lot of just kind of like half-ass reading the questions and then I don't know, pick this answer, right?
Hmm.
But towards
Hmm.
the end, I feel like I was much better at being able to justify why I picked something, even if I didn't know that I'd
Yeah.
never heard it before. I could
Hmm.
like pull together enough evidence to be like, this is why I think this is it. And
Exactly.
I think once I got to the point of being able to like justify answers,
Hmm.
that's when I felt like my practice scores were got much better.
Nice. Nice. Awesome. All right. Floor is open for questions. What y'all got for Mariam? Give her at least a couple, two or three. Who wants to go first?
I'll go
Juliana?
first.
All
First
right.
and foremost, congratulations to you. We didn't get to spend too much time. I think I got one or two sessions before you taking your test. But I wanted to ask, you had mentioned like having to go out and stay in a hotel. What the night before, was there anything that like you took with you morning of that you did that you like concentrated on that you'd share that kind of helped you with like the nerves or just being away from home?
I took my pillow from home because I'm with my migraines and stuff. I have a special pillow. Um, And I don't know if this is really answering your question, but like I'm Muslim, so I prayed the night before, and to me that calmed my nerves. Because at that point, I'm like, I've done everything I can. Like I've studied, I've done all the work I can do, and at this point, it's like in my belief, right? It's like it's in God's hands at this point, and that gave me just like that calmed my nerves. But also just like I feel like a week before the exam, I was freaking out, and then after that, you're in like that zone where it's like it's too late to worry about it now. You know what I mean? Like a week out, what are you going to do? Like 2 days out, what are you going to do? Like you're not going to learn the entire exam in 2 days, right? So at that point, it's like you know what you know, and you go in and you give it your best shot. So I wasn't really that nervous the night before. I was just kind of like, I'm here now, and I'm just going to go and give it my best. That's all I can do, right? There's not space for that like what if this and what if that at that point, you know what I mean? So that
True.
actually helped in a weird way.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Very much. All right. Come on. I know y'all got questions. So that's why we're here. What questions do you have for Miriam?
Hey, Mariam, congratulations.
Thank you.
Are you able to talk a little bit more about your test taking strategies that you found was helpful, especially
Yes.
if you didn't know
I'm
a
trying to
question?
remember. I feel like I just dumped everything out of my brain. Yeah, so the test taking strategies were really psych prep. So it is, man, I wish I had I literally put all my stuff in a box and shoved it away because I'm like, I don't want to look at it, but I want to keep it. But it's really like reading the question and understanding, like being able to put the question in your own words and understanding what the question is asking you, kind of the first step. And then they call it a job interview answer, where you give a really, really direct, really short answer to the question. Even the question is just like a few words, like, neurotransmitters are, right? Like you just give like your best whatever answer to that. Um, and then what you do is you go through each answer choice and you have to be able to kind of like prove or defend or explain why each answer choice is true or false. And that was a tricky part for me because like I would go into, well, I want this answer to be true, or like I feel like this is true, right? But it's like, do I have any actual, like, do I have a knowledge base to objectively say, no, this is actually true, or this is actually false? Like, what is like the proof I have? And so you don't eliminate an answer choice unless you can firmly say, I know this is not true, and this is why it's not true. So you might only be able to eliminate one, right? But then you still eliminated one. But with that approach, most of the time on the actual exam, I was able to eliminate like at least one, most of the time two answers. And so that brings you to 50%, right?
Yep. That's good.
Thank you.
Yep.
Mhm.
One more, at least. What else we got?
I guess to piggyback off what Shadiam was or her question, did you get any three option responses in your test?
I think Chris, did I tell you I did? I can't remember now. I think I did.
I think you tell me. Yep.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I will say, I think not, thinking back, so I took the exam it's been almost 3 weeks now. Um, the answer choices on those, because I remember seeing people saying, oh my God, there were some three answer choices. I'm like, why are they like upset about that? That sounds awesome.
I agree.
But like, I feel like the answer choices were not as like, they were more similar. Like it was harder to, sometimes you have one where it's like, this is obviously like such a dumb answer. Like this is not it. And you can easily eliminate that. Sometimes with the three answer choice ones, it was really hard to eliminate one. But I did get some of those.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, with the three question answers, you have an 8%, statistically, you have an 8% better chance of getting the right answer. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
Yeah.
if it's four answers, you have a 25% chance to get the answer right. If there's three, you got a 33% chance to get the answer right.
Yeah.
So, it does go away from one's like being used to the four, so it does create,
Yeah, it throws you off a little bit.
yeah, it throws you off. So the
Yeah.
thought of it is like, what? But at the same time, it's like, yeah, well, just
But that
study the.
also does remind me, Chris, of one thing that you would say to us or to me so many times. And I was kind of like, I don't think I realized the value in it until I went into the exam, where it's like you're going to get a question, it's going to throw you off, and then your confidence is going to be shook for the
Hmm.
next few questions. So what actually helped me a lot was right off the bat, I got one of those kind of questions. I was like, what's going on? Like I just
Hmm.
sat down and started this exam and I already don't know what I'm doing. And what helped me was like not to rush to the next question. What helped me personally was just take a few seconds, take a deep breath, calm back down
Yep,
before moving on to the next question. Otherwise, I knew I'd just blow the next question.
that's right.
And then that kind of
100%.
like snowballs, right?
Hmm.
So that
Absolutely.
that will probably happen, like you're gonna get those moments where you're gonna be like, I'm blowing this, I'm totally screwing up, and just take a moment to like resend her.
Yep. Absolutely. Wonderful. All right. Give us some closing words, some closing encouragement to the Beast Slayers on the on the screen and those who will see this in the future. What
Okay.
encouragement can you give them?
This is going to be very, very cliche, but I'm going to say anyways. If I can do it, you can do it. I mean, I was like, there's no way I can take this exam with these migraines and like and those bright lights and stare at the computer screen for hours and I mean you don't have anything to drink and like that's a huge trigger for me and like and so I was like really, really, really doubting myself. But I think the biggest thing is like there's no harm in just trying.
Hmm.
Just go in and try. And if it takes taking it a few times, like who cares? Like just go in and do it. And you're not going to feel confident about it and you're never going to feel ready and just go and do it. You're never going to feel ready for it.
And
I think
that's
you feel
true.
confident about your skills, but like
Mhm.
you go in and you answer the questions and you're like, this doesn't feel like I'm doing well,
Yeah.
which is separate from feeling confident about test taking strategies and the content.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll add on to that as well. Lean into your confidence as much as you possibly can and let that supersede your anxiety.
Yeah.
Because there are going to be questions that you actually know. You know what I mean? And so if you answer a question, if you see no, question number 72 and you're like, oh yeah, like I actually know that one. Like and just use that as more momentum to because a lot of times we think about stuff from the anxiety part. We'll see question number 93 and it's very anxiety provoking. So it snowballs into the following questions. But maybe question number 82, you knew it. So it gives you the confidence to approach 83, 84, 85. So as much as we can look at it from the negative end, we can also look at it from the positive end and use those confidence markers to keep going. So,
Yeah, that's true. And that is true because there were definitely a bunch of those where I'm like, oh yeah, I know this one.
hmm hmm
And that it definitely felt good to hit those,
exactly.
you
Yep.
know.
Miriam, you did it.
Yay.
I'm so happy for you. You deserve it. You earned it very much so. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And because of you, we get to study right now. So
Yay.
everybody thank
Awesome.
Way to get
Miriam
in
for
there, Mariam.
yes,
Thank
Way to
you.
get
indeed.
in there and not put like a self-limitation because I just know that this test can really kind of excuse my language, mind fuck some
Mhm.
people. And so I think we know this, and I'll say it again, it's not about competency or knowing the content, right? But I really am inspired by your story. You went for it, you asked for some grace, you got it, right? You could have been like, "Oh no, I don't have time," and just let it pass, but you reached out, you got approval, you went for it, you tried it. I mean, you definitely worked hard for it and you got it. So
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks.
that is amazing. Way to, show up for yourself in that way. Great
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a point where I'm like, I should just try to see if I could extend it farther out. Like I'm not ready. I need my health to get better. And I'm so glad I just went for it.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
You did
That's
it.
a testimony for you, girl, moving
Oh, thank
Yes,
forward.
you.
indeed.
Yes,
Absolutely.
that's so nice to hear that.
Yeah.
Thank you. It really means a lot.
Yes,
Well, Daniela
yes.
always knows how to put a pretty bow on things. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, she's that's her t-shirt, pretty bow.
Where's my influencer shirt?
Yes.
That's your shirt. You remember that's your influencer. Yes, yes. It is funny. Fun story before we get to study part. Maybe I know Arica was on here. Her search center square, but so one of the first
It was my
uh
absolutely my
it
first.
was your first one. So the first session that Mariam joined, so we were doing like just practice questions towards the end like we always do. And so we were going through them and literally everybody said one letter. I think I don't remember, maybe A or whatever it was. And everybody was leaning toward A as the option. And Miriam came and she was like, I think it's B. And then slowly but surely, like some weird cult, like everybody just started going over to
B,
B.
B, B, B.
No, but the funny part is I was wrong.
And the answer was actually not B. It was funny. And I was
It was
like, oh, this is
A.
going to be fun. Yeah, it was A. And I was like, and I was like, okay, so that's her shirt from now on. She is the
Yeah.
influencer. So yeah, absolutely. Some good
Love that.
minority influence. It
And
was
I will
funny.
influence you all to pass.
Yes, there you go. There you
Yes.
go.
We'll
Yes,
take it.
indeed.
We'll take
Yes.
it.
Thank you, Mariam. We appreciate
Welcome.
you so
Thank you
much.
for
Congratulations.
being here.
Thank you. And good luck, everyone. You got this.
Awesome.
Yay.
Thank you.
Enjoy
Bye.
your life.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
All right.
All right.
All
Bye,
right.
Mariam.
Bye.
All right. Let's see. All right. Let's see. Let's get into some content here. So these are the subjects we will be throwing in. So anytime someone passes, um, um, and these are recorded, so these are on the YouTube channel. So anytime someone passes, or for every 100 followers on Facebook, which we're over 500 now with Beastslayers. That's
Let's
amazing.
go.
How about that? And so we have these sessions, and so this is a teaser. This is a taste of what to expect. In our individual and group sessions. I love doing this stuff. It's fun. And like Miriam said, I love making it more like a familial, just hang out with friends type of in the evening, just hanging out, doing some EPP stuff, joking around, doing inside stuff. Those are the types of things that helps with reducing anxiety. I'll do that very purposeful. And so this is just a taste. It's very domain specific for those who are watching on YouTube. Is I usually do very domain specific, but when someone passes or every 100, I do a practice session like we would do, but I just do usually 4 to 5 or so, like a handful of just random topics of within different domains of things that I've talked about before. All right, so the four today is concordance rates for schizophrenia, uh, Jay Haley's strategic family therapy, and also the sleeper effect regarding stepdaughters and postpartum psychological conditions, the prevalence timelines and features. So, 5 specific types of postpartum conditions, and the prevalence rates and so forth. So, those are all important HOP topics. What makes me think about these things randomly? I don't know. It's just I'll review my notes and I'm like, let me pull it out. It just feels like a hat. Like I think they'll want to know this. So it's always fun. All right, so let's dive into concordance rates for schizophrenia. This is Irving Gottsman, and so this is a 1991 meta-analysis study. He compiled decades of European twin and family studies to establish the lifeline risk of developing schizophrenia based on genetic relatedness. All right, so the data set is a core. This data set's a core sample of each OP behavioral genetics questions. So basically, when it comes to uh, rates, think of monozygotic twin, highest prevalence rate. All right. And then you got parents with children, 46. So what does this mean? So when it comes to monozygotic twins, identical twins share 100% of their genome, and this yields the highest single concordance rate. All right. But when it comes to phenotypic, you have the difference, which is 52%. So phenotype, as we know, is hair color, eye color, environmental influences, things like that. So when it comes to the gene sharing, 100% prevalence rate of having schizophrenia, 48%. All right. Offspring of two parents, 46%. So having two affected parents carries a risk virtually identical to being a monozygotic twin. Dizygotic twin, 17%. All right. Child of one parent, 13%. Full sibling, 9%. A parent, 6%, half sibling, 6%, grandchild, 5%, aunts and uncles, 2%, first cousin, 2%, and general population, 2%. All right. So when it comes to HOP world, memorize the anchor triad. All right. The anchor triad. And that is this here. That's monozygotic 48, dizygotic 17, general population 1. All right. So if an HOP question asks about the phenotypic discordance in monozygotic twins, the answer is 52%. All right. So environmental factors, and that's I've taught a lesson, I taught a class about the diathesis stress model. It drives manifest onset. All right. Environmental influences there. So there's the vignettes. All right. Diagnosed 24-year-old diagnosed with schizophrenia. Fraternal twin brother asked about his lifetime risk. All right. So according to Gottsman, it is approximately 17%. All right. Fraternal twins share 50% of the genes, has a 17% concordance rate. All right. Let's get to strategic family therapy with Jay Haley and Chloe Medanes. All right. All right. So this is grounded in cybernetics, actually, in the Palo Alto group, which is like Batesman and Jackson. They view clinical symptoms as foundational communication strategies designed to control interpersonal relationships and maintain homeostatic equilibrium within a malfunctioning family hierarchy. All right. So these are really important strategic processes, and then we'll get to the signature interventions. All right. So they view the symptom. So they first focus on the family power hierarchy. All right. And then it focuses on symptom as communication and control. So symptoms are nonverbal messages designed to manipulate power dynamic hierarchies without taking direct ownership. All right. And then let's get to homeostasis. So that is the system resists change to stay in balance, even if unhealthy. Going down to strategic interventions applied. So therapist designs targeted paradoxical interventions to disrupt the pattern. And then you get to prescribing the symptom, making the symptom voluntary, either obey, detect control, or disobey. Drop it. And then you get to hierarchical realignment and symptom resolution. So new, healthier patterns stabilize the family system. So that's their process. And then their signature interventions when it comes to strategic family therapy, prescribing a symptom. All right. So that's basically like if there's a married couple, there's some communications issues, and they just can't get to a point where they're having civil conversations. Haley would say, okay, cool, we'll start arguing on purpose, right? And this turns into an involuntary system into a choice. So that's a way of manipulating one's mind of saying you're choosing to argue. Ordeal therapy is requiring a tedious or adversive task whenever the symptom occurs. All right, so discomfort weakens payoff. All right, so um, so when it comes to ordeal therapy, say for instance, um, also think about restraining client change. So don't change too fast. Is important when it comes to this particular section. Um, because if you change too fast, you're prone to bypass resistance. Also, restraining is important here. So that's instructing clients not to change too quickly again when it comes to ordeal therapy and restraining. And so this slows the system down to avoid triggering resistance. And then, of course, the paradoxical injunctions, and that gives directives that conflict with the problem's logic, creating a therapeutic double bind that opens room for change. All right. So that's a vignette for y'all.
Do you
Think of,
mind giving an example? I'm sorry to interrupt, Dr. Chris.
yeah, you good.
Do you mind giving an example of paradoxical injunctions?
Yeah, for when it comes to paradoxical interventions, always think about um, I always think about like doing something like that's different than what's going on. So say for instance, um say for existence you have something like you if someone is like arguing, you have like uh like setting aside if you're trying to calm down each other, or if you're trying to work on um, having a more relaxed conversation or a more relaxed type of communication, like Haley would say something like, okay, we'll set time aside to just argue like 5 minutes a day, right? So that would be an intervention that's different than what you're trying to do. It's paradoxical. You're trying to work on civilly talking to each other. So his strategy would be, okay, we'll start arguing more, you know, set a time to just like go in, you know, with each other. You know what I mean? And so that would, again, makes it more involved. It would it would uh, make it more into from an involuntary standpoint to you're starting to make the choice to argue with each other. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Sweet.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no
Thank you.
problem. Yeah, no problem. Um, Another one I've seen before is like when it comes to children, uh you like say for instance there's like an adolescent or something like that. Like Haley, and I've actually seen this before in articles, like it may seem a bit crass, but like he'll like if there's an adolescent that um won't clean his room or something like that. And what he'll do is like he'll he'll say that you shouldn't clean your room because you just can't handle that responsibility, right? So that's the type of verbiage that he would give, and then the adolescent will be like, well, yes, I can, you know, yes, I can. That's called reframing or positioning. So you know so the adolescent would say, well, yes, I can. I mean, what do you mean I can't handle that responsibility? I can clean my room. I'm gonna get up and clean my room now, right? And so he's like, I got you. You know what I mean? So, and that's a way to kind of manipulate the adolescent to actually clean his room, where the whole point was to clean your room in the first place. Does that make sense? Sweet. All right, let's get to the sleeper effect. When it comes to stepdaughters, you have this is Hetherington's longitudinal E. Mavis Hetherington. And this is Hetherington's longitudinal research on divorce and remarriage. So it revealed distinct gender-based adaptation patterns in children. So while boys show immediate externalizing behavior following parental divorce, young girls often appear well-adjusted, resilient, and academically stable during childhood. However, when it comes to the sleeper effects, those characteristics or those externalized behaviors actually show up later when it comes to girls. All right. So basically that's delayed emergence. And so the sleeper effect refers to the delayed emotional and interpersonal disruptions that emerge in young adult females who experience parental divorce during early childhood. All right. So you get mistrust, anxiety, um, instability in their own marriage. You get fear of intimacy. Those are the sleeper effects of daughters. All right. So as stepdaughters enter late adolescence and young adulthood, they exhibit heightened levels of those aforementioned things. All right. So that's a good way to think about it. Girls don't bounce back. They carry hidden wounds that surface when relationships matter most. All right. And so they have latent conflict. So they repress initial distress during childhood to maintain family harmony, but romantic milestones trigger latent abandonment, fears, and attachment insecurity. All right. So while the entry of a stepfather often helps young boys, it frequently exacerbates distress for adolescent stepdaughters. All right. And one huge point when it comes here to HOP, the reason why is because they're again sleeper effects, so they're experiencing those negative effects later on. So the resilient, girl who it has experienced a divorce, keeping mom together, building that bond with mom, everything's going to be okay, keeping family harmony. And then stepfather comes in and she feels that there's a dilemma there's some competition there basically. And so that bond that she felt that she's created with mom, she feels like someone's taken over that position. So she's thinking in her head like, but mom, I spend all this time with helping you and having a, have you cry on my shoulder and saying everything's going to be okay. And I've I've been with you so long while our brother has been, doing less on his, academically worse and with his report card from all these things. I was the one who spent all this time, helping you through this process, and you're gonna let someone else come in and just take away from our relationship. So that's the type of dynamic that the stepdaughter of the stepfather has when it comes to relationships. All right. Um, and in contrast to that, boys actually display immediate post-divorce behavioral patterns that actually tend to decrease over time. All right. So again, like girls experience latent conditions like internalizing problems that peak in young adulthood. Boys, they get the delinquent behavior out early, and then it tends to level out and decrease when they get older. All right. Think of sleeper, latent, late problems. All right. Finally, let's get to postpartum information here. All right. So here's a prevalence chart for y'all. So you have postpartum blues, which is about 50 to 80% of postpartum conditions as far as prevalence rate. And the onset is 2 to 3 days post delivery. And then the peak day is 5, and it resolves within 2 weeks. You experience mild mood swings, tearfulness, irritability, um, emotional lability, and functions in tact. Then you have PPD, which is 10 to 15%, and that's within 4 weeks, up to 1 year. Um, I've even seen I've even seen studies that extend past a year nowadays. Um, so months to over a year if untreated, you see anhedonia, you see severe anxiety, worthlessness, intrusive harm thoughts, bonding deficits. It's a mild severity when it comes to postpartum blues because it's common and short-lived and self-limited. So it doesn't last for very long after 2 weeks. So after 2 weeks of there's still some issues, then you're going into one of the other postpartum conditions, typically, except for psychosis and OCD. But when it comes to um, especially PPD, it can, untreated, it can last over up to a year, and like I said, over a year sometimes. All right, moderate severity, and then you get to PPA, which is postpartum anxiety. That's 10 to 15%. That's 1 to 4 weeks post delivery, and duration is lasts to about some months without intervention. And a couple of the clinical features with that is constant catastrophic worry, hypervigilance about infant safety, somatic tension, restlessness, and it has a moderate level of severity. Then you have postpartum OCD, which is 3 to 5%, and that's 1 to 3 weeks post delivery. And that's if there's not any ERP prevention, um, exposure and response, um, it can be persistent. All right. You get intrusive, unwanted ego, dystonic thoughts of infant harm. You get compulsive checking and cleaning, and it has a severe severity rate. All right. Then you get to postpartum psychosis, which is 0.1 to 0.2%. And that's within the first 48 hours to 2 weeks of post delivery. And here you get psychiatric emergency hospitalization. You get ego-systonic delusions. You get auditory hallucinations, lability. You get severe risk of infanticide or suicide. This is critical. It's pretty critical. All right. High risk. All right. So these are key differentiations. All right. So blues are due to rapid drop in estrogen and progesterone. It's not a disorder. It's important to know that too. All right. And then the PPD, PPA, and OCD that can impair bonding and attachment. So it's important to treat promptly. All right. And then CBT is good for SSRIs, and CBTs are effective for PPD. All right. Early interventions equals better outcomes. All right. Assess for bipolar disorder for psychosis, postpartum psychosis, hospitalized immediately. And the OCD thoughts are terrifying, ego dystonic, and psychosis beliefs feel real, which is ego systonic. All right. Let's get into some questions. Oh, this is for Giuliani. Ready? There you go. There's your matching guide. Uh, she's a big fan of the charts, so the scenario charts. So that one's for you. All right, let's get into some questions. All right, so got about 10 minutes, and so what we can do is um, still have the fun game show format, and what I'll do is I'll have Daniela start us off with reading um, as soon as, wait, there we go. All right. There is the
Is it in
question.
the chat?
Yeah, I'm about to put it in the chat here.
Okay.
Uh, it- all right. So there's the question. So if every so what we'll do is mm, so I love having fun with these game show stuff. So let's do this. Let's do um let's just do an all play. Let's just do an all play for all of them, just so we can get some questions out. I want to do that. All
Hmm.
right.
Cool.
All right. I really want to get some questions out. All right. So a family therapist working from Jay Haley's strategic therapy model meets with a family where 11-year-old child refuses to attend school. The therapist instructs the parents to reward the child with $5 for every day of school missed, while requiring the child to write a 10-page essay on school law every night they stay home. What technique is the therapist utilizing? A, paradoxical directive and ordeal therapy. B, behavioral shaping and overcorrection. C, systemic restructuring and enactment. D, structural joining and mimesis. All right,
Mhm.
so let's just do like your first instinctive answer and just say it out loud. It's okay. Because we're on
Me?
time constraints. Everybody. Yeah, so
Oh,
we'll have
A.
everybody.
A.
A.
Yeah.
Everybody says A.
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 Yeah, all right, cool. All right. Uh mm, there's someone else on here, Rita. If you don't want to say it out loud, you can put it in the chat. It's up to you. All right. The answer is yes. She also says A. All right. A is the correct answer. Good job. Good job. All right. So Rita, you uh, hit new chat because it's fine if you did it with everybody since everybody said A, but hit new chat and then hit my name um, and send that to me directly because you might have the right answer and someone might be like, oh, let me be influenced by that. All right. Next question. Right. 30-year-old woman gives birth to her first child. On postpartum day 4, she experiences crying spells, anxiety, irritability, and insomnia, but continues to care for her infant competently. By day 10, her symptoms have resolved completely without treatment. What condition best describes this clinical course? A, postpartum major depressive disorder. B, postpartum psychosis. C, postpartum blues. Or D, postpartum anxiety disorder.
B.
Okay. Shadeen says B. You
C.
said
Yes.
you said
C.
B or C.
C as in cat.
Okay, C is in cat.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, since everybody's saying the right answer, um, Rita, if you can put something on there on the everybody on the full chat here. Uh, yes, the answer is C. Good job. All right. Next. Uh, Daniela, can you read that for me?
Absolutely. All right. So according to Gottman's 1991 meta-analytic findings on schizophrenia concordance rates, which of the following pairs shares the exact same empirical risk percentage for developing schizophrenia? A, monozygotic twins and um,
Dizygotic.
dizygotic
Mhm.
twins. B, full siblings. and children of one parent with schizophrenia, C, offspring of two parents with schizophrenia and monozygotic twins, or D, first cousins and half siblings.
All right. Arca says C. What else y'all thinking? Oh, I got a DM that says B. Let's go.
Madam.
D is the DM. Yeah, okay. So I got C and I got a D so far. What else y'all thinking?
Hmm.
Which of the following share the exact same?
We got I don't know. It's okay not to know. I always say by the end of the question, everybody's gonna know.
Oh,
So it's okay.
yeah, I need to change mine because exact same percentage. Got a little too jumped the gun there. Let's
Okay.
see. Uh, yeah, I'm gonna go with D, like dog.
Kelly. Um, so D. So we got D, we got D. Okay. All right. So that actually, um, you shouldn't have changed your mind. All right.
Oh,
C is correct answer.
well, shit.
Yeah, remember when I said uh two parents is nearly the same
Yeah.
as monozygotic twins?
See, and I
Yeah.
knew they were very similar. The thing that got me with the wording was the exact same. So I was thinking, okay, 2%, like,
Mhm.
or 6%.
Yeah. Well, there wouldn't be any exact same prevalence rate.
Okay.
That's greater than monozygotic twins. 48% is the greatest prevalence rate, and 46% with the two affected parents is basically the same.
Okay.
All right. All right. Next. Arca, you want to read that for me, please?
Okay. In longitudinal studies conducted by E. Mavis Hetherington regarding children's adaptation to parental divorce, which pattern was most characteristic of adolescent and young adult females whose parents divorced during their early childhood? A. Immediate acting out behaviors and academic decline during primary school. B. Successful long-term adjustment with zero elevated risk for marital dissolution. C. C. The sleeper effect, characterized by delayed anxiety, mistrust, and relational instability. Or D. Severe cognitive deficits and lower overall IQ scores compared to peers from intact families. Let me see.
Got to see. We got to see. Uh, what else? Got to see. Another C. We got to see. All right. Looks like no. Shadeen, I don't think I've heard from you with this one.
Oh, I said C.
You said C? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. C is the correct answer. All right, we got one more. Let's see. Shadeen, you want to read this for me?
Sure.
Oh, Whispering. Okay. That's very nice. What in the Blair Witch
Ah.
Project is going on here? All right, let's see here. All right, there we go.
Okay. A strategic family therapist utilizes Chloe Madane's approach to treat a teenager engaging in violent outbursts. The therapist asks the teen to pretend to have a violent outburst and ask the parents to pretend to help him calm down. What is the primary purpose of the intervention? A, to encourage emotional catharsis and release suppressed anger. B, to alter the power dynamic and shift the symptom from compulsory to voluntary control. C, to collect baseline data on the frequency and severity of behavioral outbursts. And D, to promote insight into childhood attachment trauma.
What y'all thinking? Okay. Hmm.
B.
Oh.
What you think it should be?
I was thinking B, like ball.
B.
I
Okay.
mean, yeah.
Probably I got B, I got B, and I got B. Yep.
Yeah.
From involuntary to voluntary. Good job. Good job, y'all. All right. Fun times as always.